Okay, I'm here to present you with what if Issei was a bioweapon? Okay, we're gonna start with Issei already beaten Riser. It's the next day after. He's feeling really good about himself when he wakes up in the morning. He goes downstairs and in his house and sees Asya. And he decides to go ahead and make them both, breakfast and stuff. So he cracks a few eggs, and he just opens up the fridge and cracks a few eggs, and starts, frying them and flipping them. And Asya's watching him make the actual breakfast very closely because she wanted to learn how to cook, which he decided to go ahead and teach her a little bit while they're about to go to school. So they eat breakfast. They have a few conversations, like Asya saying that Issei should probably get more friends, because Issei in this is pretty much a loner. He doesn't like when people get near him or touch him, usually. There's very few people he trusts. He doesn't know why he's like this, but, can't remember most of his life. I mean, he's 17, but he can only remember 3 years of his life. Yeah, since he was 14, only thing he can remember is waking up on the sidewalk somewhere. That's all he can remember. And ever since then, he's, tried to find place to stay, place to stay. He found this old abandoned house and fixed it up, and that's where Asya and, him are living. So he decides to go out, to Konoko High School, his high school. He walks out, and, Asya's following him. They're chatting on their way to the high school. Asya ends up saying, "You should give people more of a chance. I know that you have trust issues, and honestly, you probably don't know why. Nor do I, but it might have something to do with your memory loss that you had for a while." Issei also agreed, and Issei isn't much of a pervert in this one. So no one really looks at him with disgust or, thinks, "Oh wow, he's the biggest perv around." No, they actually respect him when he goes to school. And he actually stops perverted acts. Mostly his, previous friends from the anime, they're not his friends. He always stops them in their acts and notifies the females about what happened. So the Kendo team's on really good terms with them. And Issei is just walking to school. Kendo's team gives him respect. Pretty much everyone does. He, is with Asya. They go to their classrooms. They're in the same classroom together. They go to their classroom. They're continuously talking until the teacher arrives. And Asya asks if any of his memories have been coming back recently. And Issei says yes, but whenever I, wake up, they just disappear. I don't know if they're there or not, really. It's like I feel like I remembered something, but then it just goes back in. Just don't know. And honestly, I thought that was pretty strange, but it could just be repressed, is what he tells Issei. She tells Issei. And Issei's like, "You're probably right. I might actually need to go to a therapist or something for this. Or maybe if I can get a hypnotist." They both laugh a little, thinking about, some old kook with a watch trying to hypnotize Issei. Yeah, not happening. So the teacher comes in and ends up, teaching class. Kiba walks in and says, "Rias wants you, Issei. Could you come to the club room?" And then Issei says, "Sure. I don't see why not." So they just walk out. Issei got pulled out of class. And Kiba, walks into the club room and says, "I'm sorry." And then Issei is like, "What do you mean you're sorry?" He's like, nothing. Yeah, I'm sorry that you had to investigate the, the Excalibur project just for me because I asked you before. Issei did this because he was good at reconnaissance and very good at finding information. he decided to do it with for a friend. But that isn't what Kiba was apologizing for. And Issei like pulled out the files in his backpack and handed it to Kiba. Kiba was very excited and was very depressed though. And Issei was like, "What's wrong? I know what you've went through, and I'll always be there for you if you need. All you gotta do is just speak to me. We can talk about this. Talk about all the problems you have. I'll be there for you." Kiba perks up, but then immediately gets even more depressed and says, I'm so sorry." And then Issei's like, "You don't have to be sorry. It was nothing. I just looked around for a little bit for my friend. I mean, I don't know why, but I have problems trusting people. But hey, with you guys, I feel like I can actually, well, express more of my emotion, I guess." And Kiba smiled and laughed and just told Issei that Rias was in the club room and that he's still so sorry about him having to look up all this information and do the reconnaissance. And he also says, "I'm sorry for something else." And then Issei was curious about this, but Kiba already walked away. So I figured he'd just go ahead and ask him what that was later on. He walks in where Rias is, and Rias says, "Could you follow me? I think we should probably go to a walk." And Issei has like a little danger sense in his head. And Drake literally appears and it says, "Do not follow her. Don't do it, Issei." And Issei says, I'm going to listen to Drake. I kind of want to listen to Drake on this. And, decides maybe I shouldn't follow her until she ends up saying, I need help. One of my family members are severely injured. And I want to see if you could, use your boosted gear to maybe heal. Heal them or give them more energy so that they can heal themselves. And then, Issei thought this was, kind of strange, but then always wanted to, help one of his friends. So he said, sure, ignoring what Drake said. And just so you know, Drake doesn't exactly like Issei in this, but doesn't hate him. Though would prefer a different host because doesn't exactly see Issei's full potential or anything, because most of his members are really locked. And it's kind of blocking him being able to go to boosted gear as often. I mean, he gave up his arm to get, his balance breaker, but that was the only thing that he really thought about Issei. He's just some kid that gave up his arm for a girl, which was a very stupid decision in Drake's opinion, in his head. And, Issei walked with Rias. They walked off campus. She showed him towards the woods and said that my friend's over there, and pointed to a certain direction. Issei was walking over, and all of a sudden, his danger sense just went off. Like he felt something dangerous. So he sidestepped to the side, and there was a blast that went straight past him of magic. And then he slowly looked around, turned it around, and Rias had already fired 4 more shots of magic into a bolt-like state. And it flew past Issei. Issei was dodging all of it until one of them hit him directly in the heart. And then Issei didn't fall to his knees but was still standing up, coughing up blood. His entire heart is gone. There's a hole in his chest. And he ends up slowly walking up towards Rias, which is really creeping Rias out. And he asked, "Why did you decide to try to betray me? I thought I could trust in someone. I thought that someone could be you or the rest of the Mirage." And he said, I thought I treated you guys like family. And I treated you guys like family, friends. And this is how you treat me? And then she says, well, it's not like we didn't like you, it's just, you know, decided, well, you're no new use now since the marriage with Riser's gone. And honestly, I could find someone with a better potential with Drake than you would ever be. And this set off Issei. And Issei literally told Drake to start boosting, and Drake didn't boost. Drake literally said, I'm gonna go with someone else. I don't exactly like you, and you're kind of an unknown variable, considering majority of your memories are blocked. And I can't even see through them, and you don't remember them. You're an unknown rarity, and I can't tell if you're gonna be a great Red Dragon user, a great Red Dragon Emperor, or a horrible one. So I'd rather take my chances with some other odds. And literally, Drake rips himself out of Issei, which is excruciatingly painful for Issei. And while Drake ripped out himself, Rias grabbed the gauntlet while it's trying to rip away from Issei, and just tore it off, tearing off his hand too. And then removing all of the evil pieces from inside Issei. And Issei was powerless to do anything right now, because he was bleeding out too much and was very numb. But Issei looked at her and said, was anything that we had real? And she said, no. I believe that all the barrage didn't really care about you. I mean, Kibo's also the one that literally led you into this trap. And Issei was pissed. The one person that he called a brother, literally the one person he got all the information for, wanted to help with his revenge and everything, betrayed him. Issei was so furious. And she was about to walk away, but Issei ran up and punched her in the face and started beating the shit out of her with just his one arm. And already on death's door, slowly fading, his consciousness was. All that he could really feel was his hatred towards this woman. He starts trying to choke her, and is actually doing a lot of damage to Rias. Rias is already bloodied, and some of her actual ribs are broken from where he gut punched her, and then literally broke her nose and fractured part of her face from the punches in the face and in the gut. And Rias is begging for him to stop, but no, he does not. And then all of a sudden, Issei notices his vision's upside down. And then he feels his head rolling over. And then he realizes what happened. His head was cut off. And then slowly it rolled over to the side, and he saw Kiba. Kiba had decapitated Issei. Issei's body fell over Rias. Rias shoved Issei's body off. Issei, barely conscious from his head being chopped off, could hear Rias saying that he was very disgusting and disturbing. He always had this cold, distant aura around him. It pissed me off. Then Kiba just didn't say a word. They walked away, and that's the last thing that Issei saw. Until he just remembered all this rage before he was starting to close his eyes. And then everything flashed in front of him. He could remember everything, and he, even though he was ahead, he was screaming. And this kind of freaked Rias and them out, but they figured he's probably like a late reaction. They walked away, and Kiba was haunted by these screams, because he realized he just betrayed someone that tried to help him, and that was a brother to him. But he didn't care because Rias promised him that she would help out with his revenge more, and with more of the Grimmery House's influence. Issei had all the memories of what happened, how he was experimented on, being ripped apart, all of that, reassembled. And slowly, his body started to get up and grab Issei's head and reattach the head to the neck. And that was very, very disturbing because his vision was perfectly clear now while he was ahead, and he just reattached it towards where his neck was, and all of a sudden this fleshy substance literally just yanked the head down to the neck and started reattaching itself. Started sealing up, and all these veins were popping out, going in to connect his head back to his body. And then he looked down and he saw that the hole that was in his chest was slowly growing back. His heart was growing back and everything was. Even though he wasn't a devil anymore, he felt very strong. He felt actually stronger than he was when he was a devil, which kind of set him off. But he realized how he got all this power. He was experimented on when he was a child. Because when Issei was a child, his mom and dad didn't have enough money for food. So the dad had a brilliant idea to, sell Issei to some corporation that they found out in the underground was experimenting on people and needed more test subjects, younger ones. So they sold Issei off. And Issei looked back at them one last time before the doctors took him away in pure hatred. They took him to the research facility, the Umbrella research facility. They stabbed into his skin with needles. They tore his skin to shreds. They injected numerous different types of drugs into him, numerous DNA from multiple different beings that he couldn't perceive as anything but monsters. There was this one thing that he kept on consistently thinking, how to rip all of them apart and destroy them. He was severed into pieces, literally chopped up into pieces, removed ripped limb from limb sometimes, and consistently reconstructed. But these emotions never faded in his mind. He felt all of this. He had that flashback and he snapped out of it and then started to head home from where he was in the woods. Started to head home, and while he was walking home, a fallen angel appeared trying to kill him, because the fallen angel still thought he was the Red Dragon Emperor and this would be the perfect time. It was a rogue fallen angel. What the fallen angel did not know was he fucked up. So he threw 5 light spears, which is pretty impressive for a fallen angel. That wasn't really a high class one, but all Issei did was literally move to the side instinctively, dodged all of them. The fallen angel looked in shock and thought the Red Dragon Emperor must have trained very hard for those skills. It just makes it much better when I tell the story of how I defeated the Red Dragon Emperor. And let's say that the fallen angel's name was Val, okay? Val ended up trying to pierce him, and Issei was just dodging on his way home, didn't even look back, until all of a sudden, one light spear that he threw ended up damaging his house when he was getting near it. And he got pissed off. He looked back towards the fallen angel, had an angry glare. Fallen angel actually felt very, very much bloodlust, like too much for him to actually breathe. He couldn't even continue flying. He fell down to the ground. Issei just walked up towards him and then grabbed his head and he just fucking crushed it with his hand. And before he was crushing it, claws appeared. His hand changed and modified into a giant claw. He just crushed the head like a fucking, he crushed it like a grape. And this actually shocked Issei, but Issei started maniacally laughing because he realized he has enough power to get rid of those who betrayed him. And he was going to enjoy every second of it. Also, I forgot to mention this, but you know Albion? Well, Albion had a choice to actually go with Issei, because Issei technically died but rebirthed. Basically reincarnated. So, in their terms, that is. So, Albion just, left Volley. But Volley never really noticed. Albion went to Issei, but Issei does not know this. So, Issei, just walked home, went upstairs, and then realized he didn't get anything to drink, so he went back downstairs, went towards the fridge, saw a note from Asya saying that she's moving in with Rias, and his blood was just boiling in rage. He punched the fridge and accidentally fucking sent it flying out of his house. And then in his head he was like, I'm gonna have to buy a new fridge now. Fuck! And then he just made a glass of water, fixed the hole in the wall, put his fridge back in the actual house, and just, went upstairs, fell asleep, and waited for the next day. And he, decided not to go to school. He decided to train his abilities. So, he went into the woods where he was killed, and started training there. He figured it'd be the best place to train, because the area where I have died, I will be reborn again as the strongest creature alive. Devils, fallen angels, or any other thing will not be able to even harm me, is what Issei thought in his head. And Albion, who was already inside Issei, literally thought to himself, or herself, I'm going to say Albion's a female, thought to herself that Issei's mindset's pretty impressive. And then she thought, how did his mindset get this way? And then looked through Issei's memories, which were now unlocked, and Albion, who was inside of Issei, threw up. Just threw up. And was gasping for air because did not expect something that traumatic to happen to anything. A human, dragon, devil, angel, nothing. There was nothing that was as painful as what he went through. And Albion felt very sad and actually started crying for Issei. But Issei couldn't hear Albion or know what Albion's doing, or even notice that he's in his body. Or she was in his body. So he started working out, started doing push-ups, pull-ups, all that stuff with tree branches, doing pull-ups on them. And then he started trying to see what he could do. He punched a tree, and it broke down. And so did the one behind it. He punched so hard there was an air pressure towards it. Then he wondered how quick he would be. So he decided, maybe I can test this out with, a baseball. The baseball machine. So he walked away from the woods, went up towards where the fountain was, near the fountain where he was killed by Rainier, and then walked past it, went more forward, saw where all these stores were, and saw the one that had, baseball equipment. He went in there, he bought a baseball bat, he bought a few tennis balls, and just walked out. Then he went up towards where the, court was, and, there was a court that was in front of the store, to test out the gear. He went up towards there, opened the fence, went in, and then the actual machine that fired rapid baseballs, he set it up all the way up to maximum. And the store clerk saw this and thought, this kid's gonna get fucked up. Issei started swinging the bat, and there was 5 baseballs coming out per second. He always hit all of them immediately in one strike. Just hit all 5 baseballs, and they flew, and they were about to hit the fence. They fucking flew and broke the fence. The fence completely fucking broke. And then Issei already figured out how good he was at that. So he decided to continue, and then the actual clerk of the store was like, oh shit, he's gonna break that fence, isn't he? I already see entire holes in the fence. Then he tries to stop Issei, but Issei's like battering them all the way towards the fence, like just open the fence. And then Issei was like, it looks like your machine malfunctioned. It was throwing it way too high. And then he was like, you put it at the highest setting. Then he was like, well, I did, but it's technically fried. He outpaced the machine to where it was trying to compensate, because the highest mode it tries to attack to the opponent, their actual speed, and throw a little bit faster. The machine still couldn't keep up with Issei, so it short-circuited. So Issei walked out with a bat and put it into a bag, and just walked away from the clerk, who was very shocked and was wondering who the fuck is gonna pay for that machine or that fence. Then he's racking up how much it was, and he fucking faints. And Issei's just chuckling a little bit and just walks away. He decides he's gonna go ahead and join Ko Academy again, but this time he would put an alias. So he dyes his hair black instead of his brown. He also puts in blue contacts. He buys those at a beauty or cosmetic store, walks out, and puts those on outside, and just heads home. And yeah, that's how it happens. He just goes to his house, opens the door, goes upstairs, and just goes to his room, about to go to sleep, and then he heard a voice in his head saying, "You've had a very tough time." Then he's wondering, who the fuck is that? And then Albion introduces herself, and he's like, "Oh, cool, I'm just gonna go to sleep now." And Albion's shocked that he's not excited or anything, or wondering how this happened. And then he's like, before you try to explain what happened, just know this. 3 rules about myself. 1, I don't like speaking to people I don't know. 2, I don't like when people try to pressure me or look into my memories or anything like that. And I have a feeling you've already looked through mine. Albion said, "I did, but it was only so I could get to know my partner." And then he's like, "Also, don't call me your partner. My last partner ditched me. And I have a feeling that you're going to do the same, considering you're both dragons. Might have some similarities for that." Which Albion was really offended by and said, "I'm nothing like that red buffoon." And then Issei said, "Third, I don't trust anyone. I'm completely cold, inside and out. I'm essentially dead but walking, in my own opinion." Albion actually felt kind of bad, very, very bad about that, because Albion tried to check his emotions and noticed that most of them were really dulled or numb. So they ended up chatting and stuff and arguing, and Issei was arguing with Albion. Albion kind of chuckled, thinking that, how that was kind of cute that he was always arguing with her. But this just pissed him off more, and he just went silent to Albion. And Albion figured might have pressed a nerve, calling him, cute when he had a cute side. Since that he had a cute side. So Issei just went to sleep. And that's where I'm going to end the video. I'm going to do a remake on this, probably later on. So be prepared for that. And also, if this reaches 10 likes, on top of the remake, I'll also make a part 2.